Did we committed to helping that project at one time?
Yeah, I fix it here.
I just, because it said something about, it said that the cost was more than what anticipated. Was that because of maybe did they get numbers pre-COVID or something? Is that
I think, yeah, it went up some, but that was a big screw up. And they put in for it the first time around, and they had the committee working on it. The committee be there. See, because they had their license and things like that.
okay?
So they can back.
Oh, I see.
Sent an email and said, okay, that's what we got. We've advocated this and this. Well, then, when that all approved, nothing happened. If people come in and give them money, they were in, but they died.
Who's the pea farmer? You
That's
Not too bad. What about the blueberry farmer?
too bad. Doesn't start.
Boy, if we could get a little bit more diversity, we'd have peas, blueberries, and corn all on one board.
Well, I married a farmer's daughter.
What they grow?
why they said
Corn, I think, was mostly
Oh,
corn.
well, see, we already got one of those. Sorry, Ron.
This is the only one I think that stayed the
I was there
same.
first.
Okay, that's true.
You have any land around?
Oh, I have land.
Yeah. I don't have eggs land. You got enough land maybe to have some chickens. We could have chickens.
Well, I got a chicken.
8 chickens.
Yeah, we started out with 8 chickens and 3 ducks. They've since whittled themselves down. Well, some of them. When the road was closed there a couple summers back, they got pretty used to walking back and forth across the road. Well, once it opened back up, they found out in a hurry that them cars don't just
Probably got all that.
avoid them. That was just the ducks, and then the chickens. We'll lose 1 or 2 of them to the road, but a lot of it's like raccoons and weasels and stuff. They'll pull them right through that fence and just pull their head off and leave them. Which is weird.
I wonder if they were going to do that. I'm glad they did.
Oh, fun. People just
Yeah.
wanted to-
I hope they fixed that.
They had, I don't know, I probably had a dozen or so chickens in
I
for
keep getting stuff from Dick.
and they killed all of them and took what they could carry.
Terrible.
We discovered them the next day, so we
You
buried
pictures?
the rest. And they came back that next night to get what they
You get your right district.
killed them all in one sitting, yep. And took what they could carry in their mouths, and then they're gonna come back the next night for the rest, but we buried
Well,
them.
that's me now.
Is that you?
I think so.
5 or 6 coyotes in back there.
What's that?
What's that?
Crystal Street fell on the ice. I don't want
I don't have to remind you, but it's
to. She told Sarah, said Sarah messaged
the number 1 district.
an email said, working on a
Yeah,
plan.
you
trying to
got
figure
going. What is
everything out.
that thing?
What?
That power block. Is that a power block?
To have the
Does
home.
she-
Oh, it's my docking station. Thank you for taking care of that.
God, she hasn't said if that's gonna
Take
be
it back to-
necessary. at
well,
this point. She
I
get
did
game
work
plan
and
together.
all my stuff
The
plugs into
writer
that.
all
left
filled out,
did
ready to
not
punch.
say, just said I
And
slipped on the
then
ice,
down
my
to
shoulder's
the meeting
broken,
this morning.
coming up with a game plan, I'll let you know.
So we got to do it Wednesday.
that's bad timing.
Yeah, yeah.
What else?
Wow. That's what you call good friends. It's gone. It's my house.
Hey, Charlie.
Everybody-
you sneak in. I'm sneaky like that sometimes. So it's years of law enforcement, you know.
Yeah.
I saw you sneak in. I just decided not to say hi. So
That's what I expect.
It'll give you a chuckle.
it's not very nice. Painter's not going to be here.
No?
Mm-mm.
He's in Texas.
He's in Texas.
Well, I did hear that he was down there. No, he wasn't back yet.
He put a
They don't complain about having.
Hmm?
They don't complain the weather.
put a post on Facebook though that like was a picture of his wife and her brother and made it sound like he was still here. Said something like back here in Michigan. So I thought he was going to make it, but
No, he messaged me or texted me over the weekend. Michelle over the weekend.
Pastor tonight, Adam.
No, we told him to stay home.
Okay.
'Cause it was,
Yeah.
it was the really old one.
Meeting will come to order at Montcalm County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Monday, February 27th, 2023. We'll begin with the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice Chairman Peterson.
okay. We asked Pastor Paul Arnold to stay home today due to the weather, so I guess I'll bat for him, pinch hit. Dear Lord, we come before you today. We ask for your guidance. We appreciate that you got everybody here safe, and we ask that you get everybody home safe after the meeting concludes. We ask that you watch over us for the rest of the week and guide us going forward with your word. We do this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Anytime.
Roll call.
Baker,
Present.
Johnston,
Here?
Peterson,
Yes, ma'am.
Painter, Mahar,
Present.
Carr,
Yes,
and Cohen.
Here.
we have a quorum. Everyone have a copy of the meeting minutes, the last meeting, February 13th.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Johnston.
I'd move to approve the minutes from the February 13th, 2023 meeting.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes as presented for the last meeting, February 13th, 2023. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You have tonight's agenda before you. I don't have any changes. Does anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chairman Peterson.
I'd like to, under old business, I'd like to add the register of deeds and clerk conversation back to the agenda so we can talk about that. Hopefully put it to bed.
Number 2 under old business is the register deeds clerk conversation. Anyone else?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner
I'd
Johnston.
move to approve the agenda as amended.
Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the agenda as amended. Discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. Hearing no public comments. Sarah, are you waiting for anyone else or can we start with yours early?
I'm riding with Chris, so I can go in the order that I'm in.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and take you now so we don't make it late.
Alrighty.
Sarah Daly with us, Crystal Township, to discuss a recreational project request. You're welcome to come up here if you prefer.
Nope, doesn't matter.
Okay.
When we moved into Montcalm County, which we never imagined ourselves doing, we just found ourselves here. The first thing we did was go to this fundraiser and support the community because their plans that they had up looked like a great idea for what they were starting with. This plan has been going on since started in 2018. 2019, it became formalized. The MNRTF grant was pursued for 3 years and was achieved for $300,000. And we had a total cost of $507,000 at that point. Then COVID happened And all the prices have changed, as you guys are well aware. So we have a large gap in what the park is going to cost and what it was going to cost. It was at 507. It's now at 759. We are pursuing Spark grants to be able to complete, but those Spark grants, $460 million were applied for in round one, and they were giving out a total of 15. So just in that first round, the applicants are more than they have for all the rounds to give out. And everybody needs cash right now. So we are hoping that you guys can help us with our ADA access project on Crystal Lake with whatever financial aid you could possibly offer. Right now, we are planning 4 tiers. We can bring our price down by reducing those tiers because something is happening. We're having at least one happen. That will take us longer to make it more usable by more people, but it will provide ADA access, which in Michigan is really sparse ADA access to the water. And this will provide it for everyone. And I was also surprised, because I'm not from here, that Crystal is the biggest lake in Montcalm County. Also hooked up with the information that the Montcalm Economic Alliance has online. And though they don't have a tourism breakout, tourism would fall in accommodations, food, retail. All those things are really lagging here in Montcalm County. They have room for improvement and to be generated. I'm from South Haven, so like tourism is kind of a second nature to me. And I know that goes on in all the lakes in the county to a smaller degree. So I think if we can provide some more facilities for more people to utilize, that would be a benefit for all of us.
Very well. Anyone have any questions for Sarah?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
The Crystal Township originally put in for $100,000 in the ARPA fund. And I had gone back and told them that this is when we originally had the committee and stuff, told them that they were denied in the first round because their own ARPA money hadn't been allocated yet.
Yep.
And Patty sent I can't remember if it was a letter or an email to Brenda that, I don't remember what it was, but anyway, kind of listed out the things that they had allocated their ARPA money to and stuff, where they're going to spend it at. And in that process of this whole thing kind of blowing up, and then we had people come up from present, they thought with that letter they were still in line for ARPA money, didn't realize they had to come back up and represent. I'm not sure if I ever told them or not. I mean, I know there was stuff in the paper and everything, but they kind of after we give out all our ARPA money, kind of come back and ask me what happened, why they didn't get any. I said, well, you never come back and presented. And they said, we didn't know we had to. So I talked to Brenda a little bit about it, and Brenda said we had the $169,000 of the marijuana money yet that we hadn't done anything with. And also possibly, I don't know, the $50,000 LATCF funds that we're going to be getting. I don't know if we got that yet or not.
100,000.
But-
We've gotten 50 already. We get 100 total.
But I just didn't know if there was funds that we could put towards this. And I feel bad because they thought they were in, and we give away all the ARPA money, and they thought they were in line for some of it and didn't get any. And that's why they're here presenting now.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
Brenda, how much do we have left of true blue ARPA money? Do you know that right off the top of your head?
So we have about $23,000 left of the revenue replacement
Mhm.
funds that didn't get expended last fiscal year. True blue ARPA money is gone unless there's some residual,
Right.
like with Andrea's project. I don't think she'll spend all of hers, so there'll be some residual there, but we won't know
Not
it until
gonna-
we're done.
It probably won't add up to
No.
anywhere as close to this. And then there's what, 160 in marijuana money or something?
69.
Almost 170.
Mm-hmm.
So between those two, we're almost at $200,000 of money that we can give away. I know when Pearson came and presented to us, we said that the marijuana money was an option for their park, but they were at a tune of $150,000. I know we denied Greenville any money for their Jackson's Landing project. I guess so. If we were gonna do it, we would have to take it out of that marijuana tax money, really. And I don't, Sarah, when you say ADA access, I get it. I get that it's Americans with Disabilities Act access. What can you be a little bit more specific about what you're trying to pull off?
It is a universal design, which is going a little bit further than ADA, and I have some preliminary drawings if you guys want to take a peek at them.
I know with the marijuana money, we do need to keep in mind the drug court fund. They operated off from fund balance solely in 2022 for the greater share of it.
Create tiers
So
and ramps.
we do need to
There's some
keep them in mind
takeaways out of
before we
those.
give all of that away. Or their general fund's gonna have to provide one.
So Sarah, did you say ideally you'd like to get 4 of these tiers?
4 is what the original plan is, and they can reduce them as far down as 1. But we're trying to make up that difference in money so we can do it as planned, so we don't have another safety issue to deal with, only doing 1 and then having to do fencing and keeping kids off it and that stuff.
What this is basically in the backside of the park, it's like a cliff going down the lake, and they're just going to cut it down and put tiers. What are they? 3 foot or 4 foot? I think 3 foot.
2, so you
2
can
foot?
sit on them.
And the sidewalk going up has, for the ADA stuff, now is like this, and off the end of every one of those places where it turns is where one of those tiers is going to go around. So they come up,
Oh, I
and go
see.
right out
Okay.
on one of those tiers. They go up the next one and go right on out.
So each tier is accessible, the space in between the tiers, and it eliminates the trails where ne'er-do-wells like ne'er-do-welling in the summertime.
It's going to be a sand beach at the bottom. So they have, Crystal has no beach on the lake, really. They have the old Palladium site that when the old Palladium burned down, they bought that. But and then the new bar and where the old bar used to be owns all that beach that we always thought was public beach, and there is none. They're actually renting beach area from Garrett Bacher, who bought the old tavern property there. There is no beach property on that big lake.
This is part of a larger project that started in 2019.
This is the project that started then, the park was redone, do you remember what?
Yeah,
year
it
that was?
actually started a little bit before that conversation did. It was still while I was supervisor, and I became a commissioner in 2018 in
Like 10 or 20
November.
years before
Effectively
that,
do-
the park was redone.
Yeah, they
It's-
did
here and
They got a
70
grant
there,
there, and I believe it was around
The one-
2000, and did some of the
Right.
ADA stuff up there now, and some of the playground and stuff.
I mean, I'm not
And then
super into it,
this part started, I can say about 2016, 2017, we started talking about it, and finally allocated or put 100,000 of our own money into the budget for it, and kept that in there every year to put towards this. So
And we will reapply for the square, it's just, a giant question mark at this point. And the regular recreation and NTRF grants are also up again at April, so we're gonna apply for whatever we can apply for.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Sarah, and maybe you can answer this, maybe Chris, I don't know. But you started out with a $300,000 budget, right?
$300,000 grant and 207 matching, so we were at 507.
And that was your budget, original budget.
Correct.
Is there any change in the scope of this thing to get from 500 to 800? Was the scope expanded, or is this just
This is the.
massive inflation?
Correct.
a lot of it's just inflation. I know it was up around 750 last I had heard about it.
Well, it was 761 and the latest numbers we got are 759.
Okay. That, I've been out of the loop since, since I came up here kind of, but
And I don't recall, but what happened with every township got ARPA money, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happened with that? Crystal Township must have gotten ARPA money.
Yeah, they got
They
50,000.
what did they have?
Fire department, generator, sewer department generator, something underneath of it.
What they have on the building? Weren't they allocating something for a roof on the building or something too? I can't remember what all it was, but I'm not sure.
The building is definitely up in the air and needs addressing, and what is left of our ARPA money is somewhere around $10,000 right now. And it is going to go out. It just hasn't gone out at this point.
But the people in Crystal Township had a higher priority of need than the park, right? Generators, whatever.
The generators were definitely, the fire department has those tall doors. They can't open the doors when the power goes out and stuff. So they put a big standalone generator in for that. And to run it's big enough to run their big water pump so they can pump water and their well.
And the sewer and the other one was high-speed internet for almost 100 houses.
Yeah. Well, it all tried to imply that it didn't
Infrastructure.
need the money to do it.
yeah.
I'm just wondering where it went. That's all.
And I forgot about that one just now.
So our controller brought up that with this marijuana money too, we need to prop up our drug court that experienced a little bit of a shortfall. So that's to the tune of about 70 grand. So that would quickly take our marijuana money from 169 down to essentially 100.
And I think that the substance abuse council or someone else is going to have some kind of a plan that are going to hit us up for on it. And I don't know that that's completely off base, being that that's kind of in the wheelhouse of what their business is. I don't know.
Substance abuse, what?
Council or someone along
Sudak?
those lines.
Oh, chronic, yeah.
Yeah. Won't they?
I would assume.
Yeah.
He's come
Yeah.
asking for it
I mean, we
already.
can set that 69 aside for them in the drug court. I can,
What's the timing of when you would need an answer by?
We have just started with cutting down trees. We just started our timeline on the first grant. So we're early in the process.
My concern with it is that we don't typically fund local government, and we went down kind of a different road with the ARPA money. But we exhausted that money. And then now, my count, we probably had 6 townships that applied in that second round. We gave them all 50. And then I think we had about 6 that came back and gave them something else. And then that money's exhausted. So I think it'd be sort of a slippery slope to start now outside of the ARPA money funding requests for the county. I mean, we've got enough things to fund for what we do here without taking on if we granted this and we only had 6 of the 20 that were here before, how many of the other ones of that 20 are going to come in with a project that they want funded as well? So I think we need to just kind of hold off and see how the year goes and what other requests might be out there. Take care of the drug court and the other things that we know we have to with that money and kind of see. That's why I wondered what your timing was, if you had some time to wait to see. But I think we need to be careful about funding other governmental things outside of the county.
I don't disagree. I was just trying to make sure that we didn't donate the whole 170 when we got to prop up the drug court still before anybody got froggy.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
How much have you spent so far?
How much have we spent on the park?
Yeah, how much has been committed?
From the township as a match, $207,000. It has not all been spent, but it is all allocated for.
You have contractors you've lined up and so forth.
Yep. Yep, we have our prime partner is Wolverine Engineering.
Hmm.
And they are about ready to get the job to put out to bid, is what we were advised at the last board meeting.
So they're gonna put it out for bid.
What have you spent the 200,000 on?
Pardon?
It's allocated as it's spent.
Well, what's the 200,000 been committed for?
Drawings, planning, soil borings, trees, tree removal. The pavilion's gonna be removed, and we've put in, I believe, $50,000 in-kind labor from our DPW.
So you've spent roughly 30% of your budget, or committed 30% of your budget,
Yep.
more or less. And what's the timeline? If you had a big pot of money in your pocket right now, how long would it take to finish the project?
If we had a dream and everything happened right, grand opening would be summer of '24.
Well, do they plan on doing a bunch of the excavation now and then stop in May so they can have the park available for the summer?
And the pavilion can remain, and our music in the park program can keep going that the DDA holds. Residents can be happy. When that is done, then when summer is over, then the pavilion comes down and major stuff.
That's supposed to start again like after Labor Day next fall
Yep.
and move forward and finish.
And if I went down there today, and then I went down there 2 years from now, what would I see that I wouldn't see now, other than these tiers of sidewalk?
2 years from today, be 25, you should see a finished project, I hope.
What would I see though? What would
You'll
it
see
be?
the whole lake, and right now you cannot see the lake, and it kind of doesn't make sense as somewhere for tourism that you're the little town, not town on the lake, but you can't really see it. Now that those trees are down, you actually can see some of it, and a whole lot of people have water view property now that didn't before. So once that comes all the way down, if you're on the hill in town, you're gonna be able to see all the way across the lake.
Okay, thanks.
Instead of it being 60-degree slope that's falling in and eroding.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you guys for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone, any further on that?
Well, I would just like to add to your ride prepared, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Charlie?
Yeah, I think I agree with your sentiments. When I saw this request in the board packet, I thought it was a little. I thought it was a good project. I think it was something that it's definitely worthwhile. It just wasn't something that I would expect the county to fund, I guess. And so I was very curious to know or to learn where this money might come from. It doesn't really sound like we have money allocated for these type of projects available. And maybe in the future, maybe we could look at this, but I think I agree with the chairman that it's kind of a slippery slope to start funding other governmental projects that aren't really county related.
It's a shame that, I think it's a good project, worthwhile. It's a shame that they didn't get in when the other 6 were here and we had the ARPA money. We'd have adjusted accordingly and everybody got something, but now that that's spent, it just hard to justify where we come up with money for a project like that. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just think it was a kind of a shame how it all blew up and they thought they were in line for some of it and never got anywhere. Probably my fault, I guess.
Well, there was a timing thing too with the committee and all that. Just kind of fell through the cracks. Then everything kind of imploded.
Well, I think we could see where we go, where there's a possibility that the prosecutor has some leftover ARPA money. And I know Sarah had indicated any help we could give her would be something. So I think we can certainly keep it on the radar. And if something changes, we've got funding available. We know we've got a request in for it. Fair enough. Any other?
Well, like the controller did just bring up, Crystal did contribute to that marijuana money.
A third of that we got because of a shop
Okay.
that opened up in Crystal Township.
Sure.
The other 2/3 came from Edmore's.
So I
New
mean
business.
that I get where you're coming from. I get where they're coming from, but that should be
Yeah.
that should be a factor in it.
I think so. But there again is, can we wait till the time where we have got our other marijuana
think we
money
absolutely
commitments
can.
and figure out from there where we're at on
When-
all fronts? And
We should get our next,
What part of the year do we actually get that marijuana?
we get it in
money?
the spring.
In the
So
spring?
we should have something
So we
coming in
should
the
have more
next couple
coming this
months.
spring again on that. We're gonna set with quite a fund of that, I would
Mhm.
think. There's quite a few of them new ones in the county this year.
Just depends on how much the state decides to give us per shop.
Mhm.
So
yeah, well, we'll keep it on our radar. Thank you. Our 6:20, we have Mark Saban and Doug Eatson with us to discuss solid waste issues. Want to put a compactor in Stanton.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I want to first give you just a little bit of an update. Since I was here last, when I was here last, there was a suggestion from the board to get the townships and municipalities to put some skin in the game. So I've been out on the road to the townships and municipalities. I've now been to, I visited 9. I've got support from 8, and I've got a pot of between $35,000 and $40,000. Day Township gave us their support, but was unable to give me a figure until they finished their budget meetings in March here, and would call. So we have some money. The Lakeview compactor has been in about a year. We found that it has taken our contamination rate from between 5% and 7% in our recycling down to between 1% and 2%, which is a great thing. It's also reduced our hauling, the number of trips that they're making over the roads, because we don't have to haul it as often. So that's all a plus for that. The Edmore site's been up and running since end of December. It's running very well as well. Being hauled right now once a month because of, well, Edmore was not one of the larger sites, and it drops off at this time of year. So it's right now it's being hauled about once a month, which is a good thing, obviously. And first of all, I'm going to send you an invitation, but I'd like to invite you all on April the 14th to come to the Edmore site, where we're going to do a ribbon cutting at 11:30 in the morning. And then we'll serve a light luncheon at the Curtis Building. But what we're here for today is to talk to you about getting permission to begin the compactor site here in Stanton and change it over from the dumpster styles to a compactor. I believe, Doug, you have a site plan like that. We're looking at 210 by 40. I'm sorry.
Did 40 by 50.
40 by 50. Concrete pad that the dumpsters would set on, and a small future drive that we'll put in there so people can get up to it. And we'd like to switch over Stanton. I've also spoken with the township board in Crystal, and they want to do their site as well. They want to keep their site, and my hope is, and I have 4 townships on my radar here in the month of March that I'll be attending, looking for infrastructure money again. And just to kind of give you some idea of what I've talked to the townships, so what I've told the townships is that we would take the bill. It will not exceed the $5,000 mark, but we'd take the bill for the 3 sites, divide it amongst the townships. If it's only costs $3,000 per township, then that's what we would ask them for. If it costs $5,000, we wouldn't ask for more than $5,000 per township. They've all been more than willing to contribute. I haven't been up in Mr. Baker's neck of the woods yet, but I'm coming. So,
Where the
Well,
money is.
they pretty much planned on taking care of business in Howard City, as I recall. They got things all lined up to go.
well, they do, except we can't get consumers on track here.
Well, that's
Eventually that will happen, I'm
sure,
sure.
sure they will.
So anyway, that's what we're here for tonight, is to talk to you about permission to begin the groundbreaking and get the Stanton site.
You talked about having commitments from 8 townships. You're not putting eight more of these out.
No, we're not going to put out, well, Howard City is the only additional site. And then our plan is at this point is to see what happens to our budget. If we could add a site, maybe in another, Brenda and I talked the other day, we'd go a year and see where our budget goes with what we've got with these sites that we're about to do. If we have more budget money from solid waste, then we would look at an additional site somewhere.
So those 8 that you spoke of, is their commitment all going to the Stanton site?
Their commitment, Mr. Chairman, would be split up amongst the sites. I mean, as I talked to these people, we talked about Crystal, Stanton, and Carson City.
Okay. So you got 3 kind of on the radar that you
Right,
want to do.
right.
and
The
then
last
maybe
3
Howard
that
City.
we have, our other sites have already been converted to compactors. So
Okay.
the last 3 sites would be converted over to compactors. And I was at the Carson City meeting, and they also committed support. And we looked at their site. They already have, they've moved out to the old McKinley trucking site in Carson, and they already have concrete, and they have 3-phase electricity very close. So that should be, I believe, Brenda, correct me if I'm wrong, the Edmore site was between $4,000 and $5,000, I believe, the whole.
I think so, but I never got anything
40,
from
I think
them,
it was
so-
4270 at Edmore, because they poured a little concrete. They already had 3-phase electricity there from the old Hitachi site.
Mm.
So it was minimal
Yeah. I never got
compared
that.
to what they're telling us at Howard City, which was a lot. I mean, for consumers to bring it.
And then the cost of the machinery, the solid waste budget funds that stuff then.
Right.
Right.
Well, we're
Mhm.
leasing those.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
So you would just want permission to use county property from us essentially?
Yes, sir.
We've approached the city, but the city doesn't have a good,
Yeah, I read that in the thing,
Location.
so. Mhm.
And we already have something out there like this, just dumpsters, right?
Correct.
yeah.
And that kind of is getting to be a pain.
Well, the dumpsters are a problem
See.
twofold. First of all, a rejected load that goes to the recycling center costs us somewhere around $3,000 out of our pockets to get it hauled back up to Pearson. And in the summer of, pre-COVID, 2019, I believe it was the summer of 2019, maybe 2020. Anyway, they called me about a rejected load that we had at the Grand Rapids Recycling Center, and someone had put a half of a hog in the recycling dumpster. And I don't know, 3rd week in July, 1st week in August, I don't remember exactly,
That'd have been
but it
nice.
was midsummer and it was a mess. So that all has to be scooped up off the floor down there with a loader, put into a garbage truck that comes from Central Sanitary Landfill down there. Obviously, it costs a lot of money to do that. So our whole intention here is to make our recycling sites more clean, because when they dump those on a windy day, as they raise that up, stuff flies out. We've had calls and had to go out and pick stuff off the fence the fence, I believe, is gone now. In front of Veterans Park there, that used to be the school. I mean, the park that used to be the school, but cardboard stuck all over the fence. So blowing across the state highway is not a good thing. And so these take care of all that. Besides that, it cleans everything all up, and it takes care of the contamination in those, and it stops people from putting things in there they're not supposed to.
You can't put a hog in something like
They're
that.
really not supposed to.
No, the
We'd
holes
rather
are
you
a
didn't.
lot smaller.
We'd rather you didn't. Yeah, the holes are, the only complaints we've had about our compactors, and I guess, is that the holes are smaller so they can only put in
Part of a
couple
hog at a
pieces-
time.
Couple pieces at a time rather than an entire bag.
Oh,
Pat's bacon.
here you go.
Well, I'll tell you from personal experience, those holes are not big enough to put a coffee can in.
Just gotta cut that pig up a little
You
bit.
got to
right?
stomp on the coffee can to shrink it up to get it through that little hole.
Made for
What is
coffee
it?
can.
What people do
Yeah,
is
where you putting coffee cans?
Well,
Yeah,
they're-
cardboard
Cardboard ones are
cans.
long
Tin.
and slim, so you have to break the box down to put it in there.
Does the other one take coffee cans?
Yeah, the single stream.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with a can. I know that, but I can't get it in there.
How big a can are you using?
I drink a lot of coffee.
5 gallon bucket. will it?
55 gallons.
So I just wanted to get that out there. If you can make the
Sam's Club and
hole
getting the great
that
big
much bigger, it would, I could put a coffee can in it.
I know.
Crush it before you go.
I've
What
seen
happens with the
those.
dumpsters, to get to your point, at least in Edmore, is people just bring bags of garbage.
Sure.
And they open up the thing and they throw it in there. And when it's full, they just pull it on top,
Mhm.
you know. So
Pile
you've
it
got
all around the
you got a
side.
trash pile.
Well, they're not supposed to be putting bags of stuff in.
And
Anyway.
they-
It's
but
supposed
they
to be
do.
individual stuff.
There's a
Yeah.
dumpster, that's what they'll do.
Well, this is supposed to remedy that, the bag
It has,
situation.
it has essentially in the locations.
And it has.
Yeah.
So I know I've seen the dumpsters out behind the court complex, but just help acclimate me here. Is this like animal control up here?
Yep,
Yeah.
What's this thing? I don't get my brain around.
that's actually our product for the roof project. It's just
Oh.
tarp there is all.
Okay, yeah, that's what.
So
I was
that goes
thinking.
right up to the back
So
of
the
the
current
courthouse.
dumpsters are right there on the left.
The fuel
Picture.
station's just down below that picture, right?
Love it.
Above.
Fuel station would be up in here.
Okay,
Yep, animal controls over here.
okay.
So that drive just essentially gives you another, like an in and an out back to that road that's back there by.
Right, because the
fuel
two
station.
trash compactors like Edmore, they sit like this, so they'd be able to pull up here, go into this one, or walk up to this one without having to come from the backside and do the 40-foot walk to get there. And that way, the parking lot can be used by the truck for loading and offloading of the tanks that connect
What
to
do you
these
think,
trash
yeah,
compactors.
what do you think the cost of the infrastructure that'll happen there will be?
So just throwing numbers together last week, talking to contractors, I come up with about 30,000, but we were bringing the electric from the transformer that feeds the court building, 300 and some feet, because that's all I could get consumers to check out that quick before this meeting. I think we'd be better coming from across the street, building our own service. So I need to start talking with them on that if you guys feel like it's a go, and I think that would cut the electric cost in half.
Well, the only reason I asked was if it was like $4,000 or something that was kicked around for maybe the Edmore site, we wouldn't have to think about it too hard.
Right.
I'm just wondering about future use of that property. If someday there was something else and we wanted to move it and you had to move something that cost $4,000 after you had 10 years of use out of it, would be a lot easier to do than moving something that cost us 30,000. So are we pretty confident that that site is not needed for courthouse expansion, or
I don't know what we would use it for.
animal control's got plenty of room on their side of the road? I mean, they'd
Mhm.
never come over on that side and that far off the road. Parking isn't an issue out there.
Mm-mm.
And what you see at the top of your picture is the corner of the retention building. So even if you add it on, you can make an L around that on the courthouse and never get to that site. That's probably hundreds of feet or so off the corner of the courthouse now.
Yeah. What's your pleasure,
Mr. Chairman,
Chairman Peterson?
move to allow the maintenance director to move forward on a plan to modify the existing lawn behind the court complex to accommodate 2 compacting units.
Support.
It's been moved and supported, allow the maintenance director to move forward on a plan to modify the existing lawn behind the court complex to accommodate 2 compacting units. Discussion.
Doug, now that I've made that motion, this is something, talking about $30,000 or whatever, this is something you're gonna have to come back and get approval for when you have a dollar amount. Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll have to put it
This
out
is
on an
just,
RFP. and-
this is just to find out what it's gonna take, right?
Yeah, I was calling everybody in Florida saying, can you throw me a budget number?
That cost isn't ours, is it?
What's that?
The 30 or whatever it costs to build it.
I thought you were talking like it was.
I think we just are donating the property.
Oh,
Am I right on that? Yeah, we just have to give them the spot. But the reason I asked about the cost was for that reason. If it was only 4,000, we wouldn't have to think about it too hard. 10 years from now, we want to move it over to the side, we could, but
And I was here once before, and we asked for, and again, Brandon and I talked about it the other day, but I didn't hear what you said. We asked for $40,000 from the solid waste fund balance to begin this project. That's when, I believe it was Commissioner Baker, if I remember, said, I'd like to see the townships put some skin in the game.
Exactly.
And so then I went out and we talked about it in solid waste meetings, and I went out and began the crusade to get some infrastructure money for this.
Great.
So just a question. So 15 years from now, we do want to expand and use that property. What does that look like?
Ripping up that concrete and asphalt and moving the
Yeah.
electric.
And paying to do so, I would think, if they've got the commitment and done it the first time and we want to move it out of the way, we probably have to pay for it.
So you guys had the money for the project,
Correct.
and it would just, okay. We would just obviously want to make them whole if we were to change it. Okay.
This would be a 40 by 50
There's,
pad, 6 inches thick of
decide which
concrete.
one.
And then if we do the gravel or paved drive there, would be the only two things we're adding to what's
You
already
are?
there.
on top of the court building.
There's room behind the fuel station.
Okay.
So currently there's Lakeview and Edmore that are operational. This will be the third one.
That's correct.
Unless Howard City gets up
Unless Howard
before
City
us.
gets going before that.
Hmm.
And of course, consumers is a little busy right now, and they've been busy for a while, so
Have you approached Greenville at all?
I have not.
Or
They have
anywhere.
curbside service.
Right.
They have a curbside. One of the solid waste members talked with one of the DPW guys from Greenville, and he said, we want nothing to do with your program. So we said, thank you, and moved forward.
Not surprising. Montcalm Township at all?
I have not, and I'm attending the Montcalm Township meeting. I just spoke with their clerk before I came up here tonight on the 8th, and if our budget would allow it, I think Montcalm Township would be a great place, but we really need to look at this for a year. So
Right.
see what our budget, what these 6 sites that we're gonna have, what that does for our budget
Mhm.
in solid waste.
We used to have bins there.
Yeah, I
and
know.
they had
That's why I asked.
used
But
them and
they
yanked them, yeah.
got a
Closed it
little
because it became a
abused.
trash bin. a
Yeah.
trash
Yeah.
bin over there.
Well, I know that Sydney Township has been talking about a township-wide trash type of deal that's being pushed by the sheriff, but I know they would be interested in something like that. But
I've been to
You were
Sydney.
there.
We talked. They committed funds to this
Yeah.
program, and
I just wonder if they wouldn't like something, somewhere in that hood.
we'll. And as I told them the night I was there, and I'm gonna tell you folks today that May the 6th we'll be doing another tire and electronics collection. We've now collected over 30,000 tires and over 40,000 pounds of electronics. And of course, we collect every day out at the Conservation District by appointment. And we'll be doing a household hazardous waste day on May the 20th in the parking lot to the health department. And on May the 6th, we'll be doing the tire and electronics collection as well.
Are you going to put out a flyer in an email like you normally do? So
We
can-
are, we don't have it becomes a kind of an issue. If you put it out too soon, people forget.
Right.
So we kind of want about the middle of this month, we want to get that out there. It gives a couple of months, middle to end of March is when we'd like to get those flyers out and about. And then people kind of get it on their radar and they don't forget. We probably will not do a shred it day this year that we've done in the past, because last year we did a shred it day and I think we only had like 30 vehicles for 4 hours. And many of the banks are doing it now. A lot of the banks are doing shredding of records. So we said, we'd wait and see. If we thought there was a need for it, we'll do it. If not, we'll move forward without a shredded day this year and maybe do one in another year.
Perfect. I'll call the question.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen. That ends our timed events. Now, up next is tonight's correspondence. Vice Chairman Peterson, please.
I still can't believe you didn't think I could hammer this out in 4 minutes or whatever we had earlier.
Yeah, last meeting I put you on the spot.
Oh yeah, that's true.
To do 30 minutes and 2.
Right. All right. Board correspondence for Monday, February 27th. The first up is MAC resolution. Be page 7 in your packet. You can read there as requested by Chairman Carr. There's a resolution recognizing the MAC's 125th anniversary. And I'm sure you all saw the newsletter about it. Montcalm County is one of the founding 16 counties established the established MAC. So you read through there, there's a lot of whereases and a lot of whereases. And therefore, be it resolved that Montcalm County wishes to commend and honor the Michigan Association of Counties on its 125th anniversary year. I'm going to vote no on it just because no one else did, and it was pretty presumptuous. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Yes, I do.
What's up?
I want to know why in the third whereas there's no mention of Montcalm County being one of the 16 counties.
It says 16 counties.
You're right.
Well, yeah.
Why couldn't we throw Montcalm County in there?
This was Mac's template. They gave this to me to use.
Well, to be fair, there's
Then
no
I'm gonna
other
vote no,
counties
too.
in there.
Yeah, there's no other.
Boy, this doesn't
counties.
sound like it's going to go.
Well, this is coming from Montcalm County, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, then Montcalm County ought to be mentioned.
Well, it is.
Where?
You grump. I just read it that therefore be it resolved. Well, no, I guess it didn't.
That's the bottom.
Right there, Phil.
Right on the top.
It says we're signing off on, but it doesn't say anywhere where we're one of the 16 counties.
Well, I mean, that big bold letters right at the top kind of say it all.
Any county can say that.
All right. Well, I'm going to make a motion knowing you're going to vote no on it, okay?
I don't know why we couldn't add that in there.
I don't know either. Mr. Chairman, I approve to adopt resolution number 2023-04 recognizing the Michigan Association of Counties 125th anniversary.
Support.
Moved and supported to approve resolution number 2023-04 recognizing the Michigan Association of Counties on its 125th anniversary. Discussion. Just under discussion, to Phil's point, are we sure that Montcalm was one of the original 16?
They had it in their newsletter.
They did.
Yeah.
So could
Yep.
we add the wording that something was
Well, it
for
don't- You happy with
yourself?
representatives of 16 counties?
Montcalm being one of those
Exactly.
16.
Yeah.
All right. I can insert that before we send it down.
Now you got to vote yes.
Good catch, Phil.
Well, doggone it. If we were one of the first 16, we ought to get recognized.
But it's got to be the county of Montcalm. Can't be Montcalm County.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Everybody good with that change to the motion to adopt that resolution? Okay, if everybody's good, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is the warrant report number 02272023 in the amount of $443,368.85. Does anybody have any questions about that? Anybody see any discrepancies in the warrant report? I had a couple. First off, there was an expense in here for something called referee something or another.
What page are you?
I'm gonna have to find it. I think it's
Might-
like,
It's a friend of the court.
yeah, employee training conference, referees association of referees association conference. Check number 172169.
Yeah, that's friend of the court. She's considered a referee, technically. The friend of the court.
Seriously?
Yeah.
They give her a whistle and like a
That kind of
striped shirt and
referee.
everything. Well, that's the first thing that came to my
Just wants
mind.
Fights out there.
That is the first thing that came to my mind. Did you happen to look into that Malibu thing that I emailed you about at all, or no?
No, I pretty much emailed you what happened, what went down on that. So the Malibu question was the sheriff got approved for 3 vehicles for his millage fund last summer. He'd already purchased 2, was going to purchase the marine truck, couldn't get a marine truck, what they wanted. They couldn't get, it wasn't available. But they could get a Malibu for our undercover cop that needed it because his was kaput. So I asked him, he came to me and said, do you think they would mind if I bought a car instead of a truck? And I said, well, as long as you keep it under the total allocation of what you were going to spend for 3, I don't think they would care. So he went and got the Malibu instead of the marine truck.
And why do you go to Berger Chevrolet?
They do a lot of business with them.
Man, it just seems like with I can think of 3 Chevy dealerships in this county that it probably.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the specifics are in that kind of vehicle that they need, but Charlie might know.
Yeah, I don't have any knowledge of that.
So when in a case like this, or exactly this case, gets approval at budget time to purchase 3 vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
and then we see bids from time, would this be one of the things that the bid comes back to the board and he's recommending I go, like in this case, I go with Berger Chevy?
Yeah, they use the state program
Okay.
where they go to dealerships that are already pre-approved with state pricing. So we've done that for a long
I
time.
can picture EMS coming to us and wanting to go with Gorno Ford and wherever,
They do the same thing.
because it's the state bid,
Yeah.
right? So what's the reason EMS comes and asks permission to go with Gorno and the sheriff's department just uses the state bid? What's the
I don't know.
difference?
I'm not really sure, I guess. I don't know if it's because I know Eric can get in on that state bid. I just don't know the specifics of why he does what he does. Because we pay for a membership every year to allow that to happen through my deal.
So my question kind of arose from when I was kind of beating up on Doug about going with a local company. We approved a tractor in your budget, correct? And then you brought us bids back to purchase that tractor, and we kind of beat you around and made you buy from down the street. That's kind of where I went with this, was that was why I was so confused, is because of Malibu. I don't remember approving, but
Yeah.
that was, I guess I was confused on what the process was.
He's used that state bid process for quite a few years now. I mean, I can tell him when you don't want to do that anymore. You want him to come back each time, put each one out for bid individually and come back each time.
Well, he's got to be done buying vehicles here soon, doesn't he?
He's got a few of those.
So how's the state bid thing work? He just essentially lets the state find it the cheapest for him through a state bidding
I think
process?
these dealerships, Doug's raising his hand, I think these dealerships are like already signed on with the state for the program.
They pre-approved pricing that they will do for the state or for municipalities. They actually put out a list, so you might be looking for a 3/4 ton truck with these options. There might only be 3 dealerships that have them. This dealership may be cheaper than the local dealership. So that might be part of the reason that they bought there. It could have been a cheaper price that they dealt with the state and worked out versus one of the local ones here in the county.
But
Right.
like your example, you're the dealer that Adam convinced all of us to go with wasn't necessarily the cheapest, but it was in the county, right?
Right.
Or were they the
It was
cheapest?
the cheapest.
Was the
No.
cheapest?
No, they weren't
Oh,
the
weren't?
cheapest. They were.
Oh, they weren't.
Yeah, it was a couple $100 difference. But I guess that's where what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If I'm gonna beat up on Doug, I'd like to
Mhm.
take a first shot at beating up on the sheriff,
Well, we can change the protocol or the process there if that's what you want.
I guess I don't care, but so now this year in budget time, or maybe even before that, it's going to come to, oh, well, we really need a marine truck now
Mhm.
because marine season's coming and we don't have a marine truck. Oh, we need a marine truck now.
I don't think he'll do that for this year. He might add it in his 24 budget as a purchase, but I don't
Yeah.
think he'll do it this year now.
Well, that was my only questions, I guess. Does anybody else have any questions about the warrant report? If not, I would move to approve and allow for signatures warrant number 02272023 in the amount of, or wait, did I already make a motion?
I don't remember.
Because I already said I didn't? Okay. In the amount of $443,368.85. I just remember saying that.
Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve warrant number 02272023 in the amount of $443,368.85. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, next up is the consent agenda, items 3 through 6. 2 police protection agreements, which I don't know about you guys, but I've gotten a couple of emails about said agreements. They were not happy emails. But if nobody has any questions or comments on the consent agenda, I would move to place items 3 through 6 on file.
Support. And moved and supported to place items 3 through 6 of the consent agenda on file. Discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The rest is for your information and resolutions made by other counties. If anybody has any questions on those, I wouldn't ask me about them. And if not, that'll be your board correspondence for Monday, February 27th.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Peterson.
Thank you.
That ends correspondence. Up next is committee reports. We don't have any new business. Number 1, clerk
I
correspondence.
don't have anything.
Number 2, controller correspondence.
I'm just going to give you an update on the opioid litigation. We have received our first disbursement of funds. Johnson & Johnson chose to pay out their first 5 years to us already. And that was $311,231. And the other distributors, which was, well, I can't remember. There's 2 of them. I don't remember now what it was.
Purdue.
Yeah, it's in here. They paid out the 2 payments they were supposed to do last year to the sum of $104,893. So I'm not sure what Johnson & Johnson is going to do, if they're going to wait another 5 years now before they pay anything, or if they're going to pay more and just get the 18 years paid up sooner rather than later. We haven't really been told yet, but now we need to start planning and probably get some people together and decide how we're going to spend that money.
And some real specific rules on how we can, right?
Yep. And I know Pat had mentioned something about this opioid toolkit thing that he'd gotten from Max. I printed that off and read it. So I'd assume the rest of you got it, but I don't know that for sure. But it kind of gives a breakdown of everything that's supposed to happen, and who they suggest as people to put on your committee to spend the funds. But it's mostly, people in the mental health, district health,
So I received
community partners kind of thing.
I received a text message from Liz Braddock, our health officer, saying that she would like to be on a committee if it gets formed. So did you have a conversation with her or something?
Oh, it was probably the legislative update it's the only new thing I could think of that was going on here for us. So I mentioned that the opioid money was coming in, and that I was going to bring it up to you guys tonight, and I didn't know what we were going to do as far as if we were going to form a committee or.
I don't think a committee would be a bad idea. I hate the idea of thinking, we're just pumping it all into one entity, and
Right.
that's, you know, they're the governing body of it. I think if we could form a committee with our health officer, maybe the head of the SUDAC. I don't even know what entities are out there, but you know, something that could.
Well, we had that request from that Jenny Kipp.
I don't
Locust-
remember the name of that
White
place.
Locust Boutique or something, I think she called.
White Lotus.
White Lotus?
I don't know, but I know they're up and running now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it has to be spent in the areas of prevention, treatment, recovery, harm reduction, criminal or legal, pregnant and parenting, data, and then equity. So, I mean, they kind of tell us where we've got to spend it, where we can spend it at. And I believe I had first heard that I was going to have to report twice a year on what we were spending it on. But then I read in this little booklet that there's not going to be any, what was the word they used? No, I can't think of it. There wasn't going to be any decisive reporting, that it wasn't going to be specific, I guess. I don't know how else to say it. But so I'm really unsure about the reporting aspect of it at this point. But I'm sure we're going to have to, these certain ones weren't requiring that. Now they do have another where they're Walmart, CV, Costco. There's some other retailers that are involved too on another branch of this that we may see some money from.
Mm-hmm.
So the distributors were McKesson, Cardinal Health, and Amerisource Bergen.
Are those real words? Amerisource Bergen.
Uh-huh. That was the distributors that we got the 2
Oh,
payments from.
oh.
And then the Johnson & Johnson is the one we got the 5 payments from.
So as
So-
far as setting up a committee, you're not looking for ideas or names on that tonight?
Nope. Just want to let you know it's starting to roll in, and we'll have to start. I mean, and if we don't spend anything right away, I don't think that's a big deal. Some people were getting money before the end of last year, and they had to report if they spend anything, by the end of the year. Our state didn't, because Ottawa County had filed a lawsuit. So they didn't like the distribution.
Do we want to put anything out there asking people to express their interest in serving on the committee, or do you want to just handle finding people, or think about it another 2 weeks or make any
Probably.
decision?
Probably think about it. I
Okay.
do have a SUDAC meeting next week, or Wednesday, I think, this week.
Okay.
So I'm sure I'll be asked about it
Yeah.
by John.
All right. Well, let us know. Anything else? Controller correspondence?
Nope, that's all I had.
Number 3 is chair correspondence, and I don't have anything. Old business, number 1 is the building keys discussion.
And this was put back on because Phil asked for it to be put back on.
Bill.
I did.
Yeah, you did. Where'd Michelle go? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. The last meeting, you said you wanted to discuss it again.
Here's something that occurred to me since the last meeting. I was going to go to the Republicans last Thursday night, and it was canceled because of the weather. That's this Thursday night, which I can't attend because I've got a meeting on that Thursday night. But we could solve the issue for the Republican Party, because every elected official in Montcalm County is a Republican. So we could all take a turn making it to that meeting, and we could be the key holder.
Mhm.
Absolutely. There's 7 of us, so
No, there's more than that.
no.
There's a clerk, there's a treasurer, there's a prosecutor, there's a drain commissioner.
We can't make them go to those, though.
Can't make anybody go, but that would solve the problem. They're elected Republicans. They're supposed to be going to the meeting. There's probably 14 of us in the county. 19 elected.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
6 and 7 is Thursday.
19 at large.
So the Democrats, last I knew, were going around the county, meeting in places that were closer to different people. So
And he did email me today and wanted me to express that they still wanted keys to the building to be able to meet here if they needed to meet here.
I was just throwing it out there to confuse it. What are you thinking? Who's got an idea on the building keys discussion? Thought I'd throw something else. My other two ideas didn't fly, so I'd get one more.
I don't think that's a terrible idea, but we'd all have to have keys or have a rotating key. And I mean, as far as the commissioners, I'm sure the electeds have them. But again, we couldn't, it would all be hinged on, you know, if we could make it or not. You wouldn't be able to host this week because you got a meeting.
I couldn't, but there's 14 others.
Right. I guess I don't. I know this is going to come off a little crass, but I don't want to have this discussion again. So I would love to come up with a solution here. I don't know what this perfect solution is, but there's got to be something. Either we do it or we don't. But I know in the emails that the Republican chair sent out sounded like he was hopeful to continue to use the building, and I'm sure the Democratic Party would be as well.
Is the monitor idea just off the table? That doesn't seem unrealistic to me. Find somebody for $20 an hour and give them $40 for that night when there's a meeting and they've got the key and they open the one door and they hang around in that area. When the last person's out, they shut it up and they make $40 and there's the one key. Maybe put it out to county employees for who wanted to do that. I don't know if anybody of Doug's cleaning staff or anyone else would be at all interested, but I mean, that'd be the logical first choice potentially, but anybody else, or maybe it's not even a county employee. Maybe we hire somebody part-time, but.
Well, we know that the sheriff has declined that invite. I mean, we haven't reached out to Stanton PD. I mean, they may.
That'd be fine. I was thinking it didn't have to be law enforcement or security per se, but if we could find someone in that field, that'd be better. Yeah.
It seems, Mr. Chairman, it seems to me like there would be plenty of county employees that might like to earn a few extra bucks, and that kind of a monitor program, I think I suggested a couple of weeks ago. I think that's a good idea. So if somebody was willing to do that, either alternate or be on a regular basis, I'd go for that.
Well, one thing we talked about too is we thought there might be a missing key or sets of keys out there. Are we going to rekey the locks and start over if we came up with a solution or a situation? What's your feeling on that, Doug?
Yes, we have the other set of keys, so we could rekey to what the first set of keys were. It's the first set or the second set that came up missing.
So I still, and I know this is going to sound like me kicking a dead horse, but I still maintain that I just have enough faith in humanity that there isn't people that are just really itching to come in here and make a mess of things. I guess I don't know.
I'm willing to concede that point because I'm with what I think Charlie said last meeting. If somebody's intent on doing harm in the place, they'll figure out a way to do it. I guess my concern at this point is just the loose keys that are out there, that we
Right.
give keys to this outfit and that outfit, then they lose them or you don't know what happens. And I think that's some of Brenda's concern as well from the past.
So why don't we just make that door down there a separate key that, you know, we put a lock on, whatever. We give all the department heads or whoever needs one a key to it. We give the Democrat and the Republican Party a key that they can only get in through that door down there. And if somebody loses it, you're only replacing 17 keys in one lock instead of every single lock on every door and however many keys we got out there.
There's only 3 doors to the building.
Okay.
And the
so-
only people that have keys to this building are the people that work in this building.
So we're
Nobody else
talking,
has keys
so how many keys are
other
we,
than the Democratic
how-
or Republican Party.
how many keys are we talking then?
Oh, I don't know. Quite a few. Probably 50. Everyone in this building has one.
Every employee has a key to the building?
Every employee in this building has a key to this building. Sometimes we beat maintenance here and we have to unlock. If they're
They're
salting and
busy.
shoveling.
Yeah, they're busy
yeah.
plowing the driveway. I get
Yeah.
it. Well, that's,
I guess my 3 concerns in this whole debacle are liability for one. You know, if someone's here for a meeting from 7 to 9 p.m. at night and they fall down the stairs, you know who's paying that tab. If someone gets stuck in the elevator at 8 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night, and we got to have Kone come from Grand Rapids or Kalamazoo, that's going to be an awful long night in that elevator. And it's going to be an awfully high price tag at that hour in the evening. And you know who's paying that bill too. And then I guess my other thing is just the principle of it all. The sheriff's department and the court complex are both public buildings, but we're not handing out keys to those buildings for after-hour meetings. And I know I'm going to hear about it in my department head meeting tomorrow about the people in this building feeling that you guys don't give 2 hoots about their safety and consideration.
but why do they tell you that, not us that? I haven't gotten one email from anybody about
Well, I'll
security in here.
Well, I'm sure there's a bunch of them watching. So everybody who's watching, get your email ready because I'm tired of listening to it at the department head meeting. I've done all I can do. I've never liked the idea of non-employees having keys to this building. I didn't like at all that we had 60 people in this building last month. And who knows where those 60 people were. I'm sure Matt couldn't keep tabs on all 60 of them at all times. Hopefully everybody had their offices locked up. I just don't like it. I never have. I didn't like it when John Johansson had a key. I didn't like it when Mike Williams had a key.
Is the monitor idea suit all of your concerns or not even close? I mean,
If the monitor was the one with the key, but then who are we going to get to be the monitor? I mean,
right.
I don't know that you're going to have employees knocking the door down for that job from 7 to 9 p.m. at
I
night,
don't think we will. An employee.
twice a month.
I don't
Yeah.
think we will an employee, but maybe we could find a person in Stanton or possibly, I don't know, Adam suggested maybe the Stanton PD or someone higher
I just-
level than just a civilian, but
That was based on location. Again,
I agree with Brenda. I don't like the idea of non-employees having a key to this building. So
I can get behind that idea, but I don't like the idea of shutting the public off from using a public taxpayer building, particularly when we've been doing it forever without any real instance of a problem. I don't like the fact that we're here at 6 o'clock at night with the doors and I've never liked that concept, but if I get where I can get behind the idea that that's not the problem, then I really don't like the idea of shutting the public off. Two institutions, 2 organizations that have used it in the past. It seems like we could come up with a suitable way for them to be able to continue to use it.
boy, it feels like we're right back to where we were.
And
Sure
I
does.
guess that's why my original statement was, because this is about where it went last meeting. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to the Republican meetings here and there, and with all the Republicans in the county, elected Republicans in the county, seems like somebody'd be able to take their turn and take the key and unlock the door. That's all the non-employee thing. But I really think a better situation would be a monitor or somebody's a security type person. Open just the one door, pay attention to who comes in, maybe a sign-in sheet, who comes in and who leaves, locks the door, and the county spends $40, $50 a night having that service, and it is what it is. I don't know.
So moved.
What's the motion?
That's exactly what it is. Have a monitor with a sign-up sheet, pay them $40 or $50 to come in, have it be an employee. Ask the people in this county that work here who wants to do it. There may be a number of people that want to do it. Maybe nobody wants to do it, but the first step would be asking if they want to do it.
Do you think anyone in your office wants to do it, Chris?
No.
Kim, you think anyone in your office wants to do it? Doug? I know I don't want to do it. Michelle, you want to do it? She was-
With that motion, would you advertise outside the county employees for someone to do it?
I would prefer that the motion pertains to county employees that are working here. I don't know how many, you said you had 40 or 50 in the building?
Probably. Just a rough guesstimate, yeah.
Maybe if they all knew what the program was, they could handle that.
Is there support?
I'll support it. I'm going to make another motion after that, though.
Well, I mean,
In discussion, if we put it out to county employees and they don't take us up on it, are you wanting to advertise beyond that to anyone else or not based on that motion? Ron?
In my case, I would like to put it out to the county employees. It seems to me like somebody would like to do that.
if there's somebody that lives local and doesn't have anything to do, I guess.
It's an easy $50. I mean, if you pay 20 or 25 for a couple hours, right? It seems to me like that would be a good little bonus for once in a while, but especially
Maybe
if
2
you're
times a
local.
month.
At the most. The Republicans don't meet here every month, and neither do the Democrats.
Well, currently, but
So at the most, it'd be twice a month.
Right.
Max.
Republicans meet here pretty much every month.
Yeah, the Republicans are Vermont.
Well, I got an email that they're meeting somewhere else next time.
Yeah, because they don't know if they can use.
Well, they have the key.
They
They
can
can
use
come in
this.
whenever they want.
But they've been respecting our wishes and not using it.
Right.
I can get behind that motion. I think you've got to make the monetary compensation at least enough to get somebody interested. I mean, I don't know, $50 is minimum, I'd say. If we can't find somebody, then I'm certainly interested in the chairman's resolution as well, that maybe just officials. I mean, I would certainly take my part to attend the meetings.
Yeah, I was gonna say if we could line it up to after these meetings, I'd be all about sticking around for a couple hours or however long I got to stick around for everybody to show up. I couldn't care less. If it put this issue to bed, I'll do it until I'm out of office. I don't care. But if they want to, if the Republicans want to do it, our first meeting, they want to do it after our first meeting, say 6 o'clock, I'll stick around. If they want to do it, if the Democrats want to do it after our second meeting, say 8 o'clock, I'll stick around. I couldn't care less. You don't even have to pay me. Maybe buy some donuts or something. If that puts this issue to bed and it puts everybody's fear of miscreants running amok in the building, I'll sit here and drink coffee and watch videos on my phone. Maybe learn a thing or two.
so the Republicans have theirs on a Thursday night.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats, I think, have theirs on a Monday night.
Well, the Republicans, if they want to use this building, can change their date.
Stephanie's the second Thursday?
It's
The third? Maybe the third Thursday.
I believe.
Yeah, I guess the
but
third Thursday.
The only problem with that is Monday, so I think a lot of you have other meetings Monday after the first Monday meeting.
Right.
And then if we don't start this until, I don't know how long you usually go.
Yeah, let's not turn it into a.
Why would it matter if they're meeting over there and we run late? we're here anyways.
Yeah, let's not turn it on to a big audience participation session here. It's a board discussion.
I was just looking for some clarification on the need.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, if that's what puts this to bed, then I'll gladly do it on Mondays after meetings.
Well, the motion on the floor is to try and hire someone to do it on whatever date those people choose to meet here. So if there's no other discussion on that motion, let's go ahead and vote on that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. How do we go about advertising or trying to do that? Just Brenda put it out to employees in this building tomorrow or something and see if you
I can, yeah,
find anybody.
I can.
20 to 25 bucks an hour, I think is what the motion was.
Correct.
Okay.
Go from there. I don't know if that put it to bed or not.
Not quite.
Close.
Number
I-
2 is, go ahead.
I wanted to make a motion.
Okay.
Within the next 90 days, our county administrator retrieves all keys not held by county employees.
Your support?
Support.
It's been moved and supported within the next 90 days for the controller to retrieve all keys to this building held by non-employees. Discussion.
How many is that?
2.
There's only 2 keys out there.
Yeah,
Two
the
that are
Republican Party and the
employees.
They
Democratic
each have
Party.
one,
Mhm.
right? That shouldn't take long.
Lost that maybe.
And the reason I said 90 days was to give everybody time to line up if we need a monitor or whatever. It gives them plenty of notice if they need to rearrange their meeting days or times or whatever. But then we wouldn't have non-employees with keys. And that's my bee in my bonnet. So
Mm-hmm.
So if this effort to find a monitor fails, and then we're gonna ask everybody to turn their keys in 90 days, might not have us,
or we vote not to do it,
pardon?
or we could vote not to do it. We could vote today to do it. And if nothing doesn't pan out, we can
Rescind it.
rescind it.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I
Better do a roll call.
Johnston,
Yes.
Cone,
Yes.
Mahar,
No.
Peterson,
nope.
Baker,
Yes.
Carr.
Yes,
Motion carried.
motion carried.
That's a close one.
Yeah.
Old business number 2, the register deeds clerk discussion. Vice Chairman Peterson.
Oh, in the spirit of beating dead horses, let's go down another road, I guess. I guess I just had a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth after last meeting. We just kind of left it to basically nothing. We made no decisions. We had a couple of failed motions. It just didn't feel like it went anywhere. I don't think that I think that's doing a disservice to the taxpayers. I think it's doing a disservice to the employees involved in it. And it just kind of makes us look like we are very indecisive. And I don't think that's the board that we are. So I guess I would like to get some closure on this issue again, same as the building keys discussion, and never hear about it again. But has anybody changed their feeling from the last meeting? I know that talking with the current register of deeds, she's trying to retire, and she's been at this job for a long time. She feels like the office that she has spent a lot of time in is in jeopardy. I know that we have an employee that's been training along with the Register of Deeds currently. I think is more than fit for the job now, could step into the role tomorrow and we wouldn't miss a beat. I don't see any validity in combining these offices. And I think to instill a little bit more confidence in the two offices, I think we need to make a decision whether we're going to or not. I think to just sit here and kind of sweep it under the rug leaves it open to interpretation down the road. We need to, if Lori does want to retire and is willing to do so, we need to start to fill that position. We need to, kind of move on, get that ball rolling. And I feel like this has kind of left us in limbo. And I just don't think it's really the right thing to be doing. That's just my opinion. I don't know what, again, I just wonder if the board has put any more thought into this topic at all.
So didn't this just come up in our last meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it was prudent it would have been hasty, I think, to decide after one meeting what to do.
Right. But so Commissioner Johnston made a motion to go out and find more information of cost savings over, expenditures, everything else. That motion failed. I made a motion to not combine the offices. That motion failed.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to bring it up again to see if we've gotten any farther with this, because I firmly believe if we were going to do any research, we would have done it by now if we were personally invested in this topic. And so again, like I say, I want to see what the temperature is of the board on this issue, I guess.
Well, my temperature is I like having two separate people doing two separate jobs. That'd be my preference.
Okay.
Based on what I know today.
Does anybody else have anything to add to this?
Sounds good to me.
I don't think that the board as a whole has a lot of interest into really diving into this. I don't think we've heard enough that, at least personally, that I know for sure that there's going to be any benefit or any value there. I certainly think we do owe it to the county and the employees in these offices to get something worked out. There could be some cost savings there at some point. Maybe at another time, who knows? We look at it because we have to. But right now we have two really good offices that are functioning very well. And I'm just not sure there's a good reason to really upset the apple cart at this point.
I've also talked to a couple people since last month, and I told them that it would never be brought up by me again. So we'll go from there. I did find out that this was the third time that it's been brought up. One of the old commissioners got a hold of me and asked why we were doing it. And I said, just strictly about cost savings and stuff. And he said, we went through this when I was here and we turned it down. I found out that it's been done 3 times. So to say it'll never come up again, who knows?
Well, I guess,
But I mean, to put it to bed right now, I understand what you're saying.
well, I guess just to instill some confidence in both offices that it's not going to undergo a shakeup. I personally, and I think that was reflected in my motion last time. I personally would like to see us make a motion and vote on either one way or the other, to combine or not to combine. But, to just kind of leave it out there in limbo and say, well, we won't talk about it, but I just think that it needs to be resolved. But in honoring the Montcalm County Board of Commissioners bylaws, I cannot make a motion after I made a failed motion in the last meeting. So,
Is it a failed motion?
yeah, because it didn't gain any support.
Yeah.
Does that render it failed or just non?
I guess I assumed that a motion without support was a failed motion. Now, if you were to tell me as the chairman that's not correct,
No, I guess I don't technically know the answer to that. If there's anyone else wanting to make the motion, that'd be a cleaner move for sure, but I don't know that a motion that never got supported is probably failed for lack of support, I suppose.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Baker.
I would move that we not consider combining those two offices at this point.
Is there support?
or
It's been moved and supported that we not consider combining the register of deeds and the clerk's office at this point. Discussion.
with the words "at this point," it kind of leaves it open-ended to maybe a month down the road we'll bring it back up.
I don't honestly know what the definition. So if a motion fails, a person on the prevailing side or a person absent can bring that up in that same session or the next session to reconsider. But I've never known, and I've asked a few times, where can a person make a whole new motion? 3 months down the road, you bring it up again as a tweak a word or two, and it's a whole new motion, but it's the same intent. I've never got an answer on what that is. So in this case, to Vice Chairman Peterson's point, whether it said at this point or it just said we're not combining, I don't know at what time someone wouldn't be eligible to bring another similar motion. So the fact that it says at this point, I don't know that it changes anything.
I'll concede to that.
Unless Commissioner Baker wants to change his wording on that, but I don't know that
I don't think it matters, but I'll change it if you like it.
something that might be, I don't know, some wording that might meet what Vice Chairman Peterson's trying to accomplish for these offices to know where they're going is that we wouldn't consider doing it for this election cycle.
I'd concede that. It's better said that way.
Is there support from the supporter on changing that?
Who supported you for supporting?
Adam did.
Oh yeah, I support it. I'm not used to supporting anything. Sorry. Yeah, I would support that amended motion.
All right, so the motion is to not vote to combine the clerk register deeds office for this next election cycle. Discussion.
Thanks for the help.
Yeah, I don't know if that. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, everybody.
That ends old business. Public comments.
All right. I read your story in the paper about the security issue. I'm from Van Buren County. They have security guards the whole time it's open. There's a metal detector there. It's very rural. No one is in the courthouse after hours. They are at other county-owned buildings. They do, it's a county-owned, taxpayer-paid for building, and they get to utilize it, but no one is in the courthouse after hours. That's weird to me.
Thank you. This isn't the courthouse, but
We have that at a facility up the road as well.
There you go.
any other public comments?
Hi, Stephanie Rechtenwell, Eureka Township. I just wanted to thank you guys for changing the meeting time. My hopes were dashed. Not very many people are here today, but I know the weather had something to do with it. I was not going to venture out myself until Charlie told me that it was still on. So again, thank you for that. I'm hoping that we see more participation in the future. I do have some concerns about the trash pickup, so maybe I don't quite understand everything that's going on with that, but we're talking about a countywide trash pickup. And I just get concerned about, it was in not the last meeting or the meeting before, just stifling competition. So that's just one thing that I am concerned about on that. And will it add to our property taxes and how exactly would that work? I guess I just want to know more about that. And I also saw that a lot of counties, more than half of them in the state are now 2A sanctuary counties. And I was wondering if you guys were ever considering anything to make Montcalm County a 2A sanctuary county. Thank you.
Thank you.
That memory just popped up on my Facebook the other day. I swear to you, it wasn't but a week ago. We have considered it before. So can I talk to you after the meeting? Perfect.
Countywide trash pickup.
That was
Is there
mentioned
any other
during
public comment.
That was mentioned during the
Blight
blight
ordinance.
ordinance thing.
Think it gained any traction?
No. I have a public comment. I would, I do actually have a public comment. I mentioned it before the meeting, but I would assume that the board would echo my sentiments that we need to send a big thank you to the road commission. They've been busting their tail and I mean, obviously the roads aren't the greatest all the time, but they're doing the best that they absolutely can, I'm sure. And I'm sure their families miss them and whatever else. So
Yeah.
I'd just like that on the record. But my other public comment would be I move to adjourn.
Is there support? It's been moved and supported to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Right?
Meeting adjourned.